All right, welcome back. Another episode of the Empty Gym podcast. Joined here with Adam Pollard. Starting to get back into football season. Starting to have a little bit more to talk about. We got football. We got baseball's winding down. We got FIBA World Cup. Some other stuff too. We'll get to some other stuff as well. But start off with a little football. Week 0, college football. Not too much to talk about from it. There's been some bigger games in the past during week 0. I feel like the past 2 years had a couple good games in there, a couple Power 5 versus Power 5. This year, not so much, but did get to see reigning Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams and USC. Dominate San Jose State, as well as transfer quarterback from Wake Forest, Sam Hartman, dominate with Notre Dame against Navy. USC was like 56-21, I think, and Notre Dame was 42-3. Caleb Williams, 278 yards, 4 touchdowns. Sam Hartman, 251, 4 touchdowns. Not a whole lot to talk about there. Caleb Williams was pretty obvious he was going to be good. It was a little interesting to see Sam Hartman with Notre Dame this year, see how that worked out. First game went pretty well. Granted, it was against Navy, so we'll see. But not too much to talk about from week 0, but cool to see a couple big-time quarterbacks get their season debuts this week.
Yeah, you kind of just said everything that I had written down here. I do have one
Sorry
question
about
for you,
that.
though. No, you're good. So football is back. Football, I feel like I'm very confident in saying that football is officially back. So my question is, what's that one of those first like key things that you see every year and you know that football's back? Because I have a pretty good answer, and I would like to hear yours.
I think my first way of seeing football is back. That's kind of a tough question. I think maybe just like, I wouldn't even say fall, because like week 1, especially for college football, it's usually still pretty hot out because it's like Labor Day weekend. Even NFL, first couple weeks can get a little hot. So that part of it doesn't really come until like late September, early October. But it's like tailgates, running the football makes me
Run the
feel like
damn ball.
football's back. Throwing the football, like you never see running back clips in training camp. So I guess like just seeing a handoff to a running back go like 4 yards and everyone be pumped up about it.
Oh yeah.
That could be just being from the Midwest and growing up with Big Ten football and Bears football, but nothing like giving a handoff to a running back for 4 yards and seeing the sideline go ecstatic after that.
That's football, though. You know.
Yeah, that's football. What about you? What's your answer?
Yeah. So this one's it's very specific. For me, it's whenever I see the Virginia Tech Enter Sandman video on my Twitter timeline, my Twitter
That's a
feed.
good one. That's a good one.
That is when I know that football is officially back. I love watching that video. I think I have it like saved. It's one of my favorite videos of all time.
Yeah, that video from 2021. It was like the first game where it was like a sold out crowd again. Uh, because that was Sam Howell.
It
Uh,
was. It was VTech and UNC.
yeah, because Sam Howell was coming off that crazy freshman year. North Carolina, I remember they lost like a bunch of receivers and running backs, and everyone's like, let's see how good Sam Howell really is without as many targets. Ended up not going as well for him as they would have liked. Still ended up getting drafted. Sorry, going on a tangent here, but yeah, that video is awesome. I have seen that video a bunch now that I think about it, and it especially I think like the whole circumstance with that one too, with it being like the first game where like stadiums are packed again. Enter Sandman's just the coolest at Virginia Tech. That's like it would have been a lot of fun to go back in like the Frank Beamer days. Is that's what's his name, right? I think.
I have absolutely no idea.
I can picture him right now, especially like. Also, another thing is seeing that picture of, I believe his name was Frank Beamer. I'm gonna look it up, but seeing that picture of him when it's like Virginia Tech versus like Georgia Tech, I think, and it goes to overtime at like 0-0, and he's just like going like this as it goes to end of regulation. But yeah, oh, Frank Beamer, yeah, Frank Beamer. Good,
Confirmed.
proud of myself for that. And then oh, it was
I'm just
against Wake.
excited to see the stands packed again.
Yeah, against Wake Forest. I don't know. It'll be tough to see there, but he's just so happy. It's 0-0 going to the end of going into the first overtime. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good pull. That's always fun. Football's back. Football's back. Starting up this week on Thursday. You got anything else from week 0? I don't. There wasn't too much to talk about, but
I don't know.
not a ton of great games this week. There's one very good one, but so we'll start out Thursday. I think this one is one of the few good games this week. One of the few Power 5 versus Power 5. Florida at number 14 Utah. I know Florida is probably not going to be very good this year, but it'll be fun to see Utah, kind of their last year, obviously their last year in the Pac-12, but they're supposed to be pretty good this year, ranked number 14 preseason, so that'll be fun. Big Ten West matchup on Thursday, Nebraska at Minnesota. This is another one. I feel like Minnesota's just like always plays on the first Thursday. I feel like it's usually always been against like Central Michigan or something, but now they're playing Nebraska week 1 on a Thursday, so that's pretty cool. We get to some other notable games this weekend first before I get to the big one this week, but Colorado at number 17 TCU, debut of the Deion Sanders era. Some people are very high on him. I wouldn't say I'm not high on them. I'm not high on them this year, though. I think that was just a dumpster fire that's going to be way too much to fix. And I think a lot of people are putting a lot of expectations on them year 1 to fix a team that was like 2-10 last year, I think. So, but that'll be fun to see that start, that era start for Colorado. Boise State at Washington. Interesting one. Boise State, always a great group of 5 team out in the Mountain West, going to Washington. Michael Penix Jr., great year last year for Washington. Another Power 5 versus Power 5 game, West Virginia at Penn State. It'll be fun to see Penn State this year. They're getting a lot of hype. A lot of people are not, I wouldn't say a lot, but a decent amount of people are picking them to win the Big Ten East, which is kind of surprising when you have Ohio State and Michigan in there. But so that'll be cool to see that season start against against another Power 5 team. UNC versus South Carolina. UNC bringing back Drake May, probably the second best quarterback in the country behind Caleb Williams. So that'll be interesting to see. That's a neutral site game in, I believe, Charlotte. So that'll be cool to see that start. Spencer Rattler back again for South Carolina. They ended the year on a couple big wins, one of which being them just absolutely smoking Tennessee, and I think the second to last game of the year last year. And then Clemson at Duke. Duke's a feisty team. No, last year they started out pretty good. I remember because it was like Kansas and Duke.
Made a bowl game.
Yeah, made a bowl game. So Clemson starting on the road will be interesting. But the big game this week, a rematch of last year. It was a neutral site in New Orleans. This year it's a neutral site in Orlando. Number 5 LSU versus number 8 Florida State. Only ranked first ranked game of the week. Rematch of last year's week 1 game that I remember LSU went on this crazy 2-minute drill drive to cut the lead from 24 or cut the lead to 24-23 ended up missing the extra point. So that'll be fun to see that rematch against two teams that were pretty good last year. Ended up LSU was 10-4, Florida State was 10-3, so kind of just right on the second or third tier of last year. Both ended up like mid-teens, I think, in the final rankings. Now they bring a lot of guys back, bring a lot of guys in with transfers and stuff. LSU bringing back quarterback Jaden Daniels, supposedly the top quarterback in the SEC. And then Florida State bringing back sixth-year quarterback Jordan Travis, who had a pretty good year last year. Florida State last year ended the year in a 6-game winning streak after they started out 4-0, then lost to Wake at home, lost to NC State on the road, and lost to Clemson at home, and then ended up winning their last 6 games. They're coming into this year pretty hot, but fun game to start off week 1.
Just football's back.
Yeah.
That's all I'm really focused on. Is I'm just so happy that football's back.
And that's one of the like, I like college football better than pro football, which it's not really from like a skill standpoint. Like, I know, same thing with college basketball and NBA. Like, I know the NFL is better players. I know NBA is better players than college basketball, but week 1 seeing and even though like I think preseason rankings are the dumbest thing ever, but seeing a number 5 versus a number 8 just on the little TV thing at the bottom just immediately gets you juiced up, which is why they do it. It's all for TV ratings, but it'll be fun to see 2 preseason ranked top 10 teams go against each other and see if they're ranked adequately, or if maybe one shouldn't be up there, or if both shouldn't be up there. But it's fun to start this week off with a top 10 matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be dogfight. I do have one team I want to talk about. It is also there last year in the Pac-12, but Bo Nix in Oregon.
Kind of a sleeper team.
I was about to say that. They're kind of a sneaky team for me. One thing I did not know is like Bo Nix's stats last year were like very similar to Mariota's when he won the Heisman. But I believe there's been a lot of things come out of Oregon that like Bo Nix has kind of put it all together, and so it could be interesting to see how Oregon does, and especially in that last year in the Pac-12.
Yeah, I'm looking at I got Phil Steele's book here right now. So Phil Steele has USC as his number 1 team in the Pac-12, obviously, but then he's got Utah, Oregon, and Washington all tied at 2. So
Tied.
Yeah, all tied at 2. But
here's the thing about that is like, I guess he kind of set himself up very well because like he can't be wrong really.
Yeah.
He can be wrong. He can be less wrong though.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Bo Nix is an interesting guy. Coming from Auburn, last year was his first year with Oregon, and then like you said, another team with their last year in their conference. This one being the Pac-12. Be kind of interesting to see how they go this year. Let's see. Looking at their schedule, they got one tough non-con with Texas Tech, but they go to Washington, go to Utah, do get USC at home, but they got a decently tough schedule. So that'll be a fun one with Dan Lanning, his second year at the helm for Oregon. But yeah, I think that's kind of a sleeper pick. Did you see the Bo Nix billboard in Times Square?
I did not. It's in Times Square.
Somewhere in New York. It might not be Times Square.
Look it up.
But yeah, Oregon put up a big billboard for him. I'm blanking on the guy's name. It's they did it for their quarterback like 20 years ago. It's like he was on the cover of NCAA football like 04, 05. Joey Harrington.
All right, here's the thing. I looked up Bo Nix billboard, and it came up with a Home Depot billboard. That's not right.
Yeah, not that one. It's like Bodacious or something like that. But yeah, Oregon's another sleepy team. Like you said, just football's back. Week one's kind of time to settle in and uh, get get back into the rhythm, get back into the rhyme. But there's enough decent games this week that can make week one exciting. But over the next couple weeks, start to see there's a lot of teams that don't really like to have their first game be too tough, obviously, because you kind of want at least one, not say walk through, because like any team's capable of beating anyone, but some teams do like to have a little bit of an easier game week one, but then week two, week three, week four, we start to see some pretty good non-conference games, which we'll obviously get to in the next couple weeks as those go along. But yeah, just football's back. It's exciting to see. I'll be in attendance in Champaign on Saturday night, Illinois versus Toledo. Little scared about that. Toledo is picked to win the MAC by most people, so I'm a little terrified. I've seen us lose to much worse group of five teams before. Shout out Western Michigan in 2016 and Eastern Michigan in 2019. As well as UTSA in 2021. But
those are some powerhouse programs, though.
I'll say UTSA isn't that bad with Frank Harris, but yeah, I've seen us lose to much worse teams before than Toledo, so I'm a little scared, but I'm excited.
Probably I'll be rooting for you.
Thank you. I'll be rooting for you against Clemson.
Thanks, man.
If you're a Duke football guy, but it's exciting to get football back. Like I said, not too much going on this week with it, but there's enough good games sprinkled in there to make this week fun. But it's back.
This is week one for us fans too.
Yeah.
So make sure you're getting your 8 hours rest. Plenty of beer stocked into the fridge.
Wake up for game day.
Yep. Make sure you're able to push all your homework back, especially once NFL comes back, to do it at halftime of Sunday Night Football.
That was always the worst.
Yep. That's I'm very good at that. I like to say I've mastered that.
So you're lucky being on the West Coast too.
Yes, that has helped me out so much.
Yeah, having the 8:20 start time for Sunday Night Football has not helped my scholastic level over the past few years, because then it's like once the game's over, it's like 11:30. I'm like, dang, I did not do any homework today. Which red zone is the best thing and the worst thing ever for when you're in college, because red zone, you just turn it on and you're just like thinking, all right, I'll do some work when like there's not a really good game on or something, and then they just flip it immediately to a good game. Like they'll show like Jacksonville versus Houston for like 5 seconds because they got to show every touchdown, and I'm like, all right, I'll do some homework now.
And then they switch it back to Bills Chiefs.
Yeah, just immediately I'm like, oh, I got to lock in for this. But yeah, football's back. Last week of preseason was this past week. For NFL, so next week get kicked off with Bears Packers. Excited for that one. But yeah, not too much going on.
I've already started looking at recipes for Italian beef.
Love it.
Italian beef in the crock pot, buffalo chicken dip, Miller Lite, Bears Packers week one.
Yeah, that's my goal. I need to learn how to make buffalo chicken dip. There's this dip my mom makes that's really good. Chili no bean dip. Shout out her.
Shout out.
She makes really good dip that I need to learn how to make. I need to learn how to make chili. For once.
Just ask Kevin Malone.
Yeah, exactly.
The tip is to undercook the onions.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot about that. But we need to learn how to make chili for the October and November games. And then need to learn how to make Italian beefs. The Italian beef recipes that I've been looking up seem pretty tough, and I'm a little scared. So I might end up. We have a Portillo's nearby, and we have a a Lou Malnati's nearby, so that might just end up being a catering thing. But
There's always next year though.
yeah, next year, I'll put it off to next year.
We'll do recipes practice on our bye week.
Yeah. Bears bye week. That will be time to practice those. But yeah. I guess any other football talk, or I guess we could give a little college football playoff prediction.
Yeah, let's go. I will go out and say that I'm not the biggest and most knowledgeable with college football. So I could be incredibly wrong here. I feel like what I'm about to say is not. It's very like chalky. It's like picking all one seeds to go to the Final Four. But I just feel like that's the way college football is too. Like you have the gap.
That happens a lot more in college football than it does in college
the gap
basketball.
between the 4 or 5 teams and then the 6, 7, 8 is incredibly like drastic. So I got Georgia at the 1, Michigan 2, USC 3, and Bama at 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a dark horse in there.
I wanted to like spice up a little bit.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Georgia has to be 1. I mean, like they got a new quarterback. What's his name? Like Cooper Beck or something. I think
Carson Beck.
Carson Beck. Yeah. Who's thrown out some wild stuff on social media.
That is some.
Has been caught in some wild stuff on social media.
Be careful what you say on the internet, guys.
Yeah. That's if you can learn one thing from this podcast, it's that. But I'll go Georgia. I'm gonna go USC 2. I think Caleb Williams. The thing that sucks for USC though is that if they lose to anyone but Utah, probably, it's kind of like the Pac-12 is just not that good. So
straight schedule is not that good.
Their slip-ups are much more magnifying. They do have a tough game at Notre Dame, which will be interesting to see. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say they got the 2 spot. I'm gonna sneak in a Florida State at 3, just because I wanted a dark horse in there.
I like it.
I wanted to get a little spicy with it, and then we'll go Ohio State at 4.
I thought about Ohio State.
I was thinking about Michigan. I just think I don't know. I think Ohio State won't lose to them 3 times in a row. I think Ohio State, obviously their quarterback situation is not great right now, but they do have the best receiver and maybe the best player in the league in Marvin Harrison Jr. So we'll go with them. And then I'll just make one bold prediction: Rose Bowl, Illinois versus insert Pac-12 team.
Okay. What Pac-12 team?
Any of them.
Any of them?
We'll throw Utah. We'll give
Stanford.
Not them. They won't.
Why not?
They're very bad.
So any Pac-12 team minus Stanford, Cal, Colorado,
Arizona State.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, Arizona State has a self-imposed 1-year bowl game suspension.
Oh yeah, I did hear. Was that this morning?
I think it was yesterday. But yeah, so pretty much Arizona State, what they're doing is the equivalent of saying, I'm not drinking tonight when you've been 5 years sober. That's just kind of how I looked at it.
Yeah, I did see, you do feel bad for the kids a little bit because it wasn't their fault. It's Herm Edwards' fault.
Mm-hmm.
But they were, very excited for this year to be able to go to a bowl game as seniors and kind of right the ship, and then for Arizona State to do a self-imposed bowl ban. That kind of sucks, but
I'm ashamed of my school.
Don't cheat.
Yep.
Don't cheat. But yeah. Any other college football?
Nada.
Right, let's talk a little MLB. The big story being Shohei Ohtani, torn UCL. He's going to continue to DH, but looks like he'll probably be done pitching for the rest of the year. So that kind of stinks.
It does stink for the baseball world. It also stinks for his contract negotiations next year.
Yeah, that definitely does not help at all going into a contract year with likely needing Tommy John surgery. The nice thing for him, Angels likely will not make the playoffs. So he can pretty much get that surgery ASAP and then try to get back to at least hitting as soon as possible. I know Bryce Harper had Tommy John and came back to be able to hit like in record time, apparently. I can't remember exactly. It was like 5 months he was hitting already. So hopefully the hitting aspect he'll be able to do early next year. Might miss a month or something like that. But looks like he will not be pitching for a while, which definitely hurts the contract negotiations. There was stuff out there about him potentially getting like $800 million, which is just absolutely unheard of. But Shohei is probably the best player in baseball and might be one of the best of all time eventually. I think it's a little bit too early to say that now. He might be the best player, like at one time, be the best player. He probably doesn't quite have the best career, obviously, yet, since he's only been around for like 4 or 5 years. But it sucks to see one of the best players of all time not be able to do one of the two things that he's absolutely insane at. So he's done for the year, but from the pitching standpoint, but we'll still be able to hit. Personal note, Brewers on a game-winning streak. They head to Chicago for a 3-game series this week. Maybe 4. I can't remember exactly how long it is.
I believe it's 3.
I think it's 3. But they're heading to Chicago. I think we are 4 games back of the division right now, and then like a half game up. And
yeah, because the Cubs have 14 straight games against teams over 500.
Yeah, we were supposed to have the easiest schedule the rest of the way out, and then all of a sudden came up that we have 4 series in a row against over 500 teams. But yeah, half game up on Arizona for the second wild card spot. 2 games up on the third spot. So need a big couple weeks here for the Chicago Cubs, but Cardinals not great.
No, I had that written down. Braves are still good. Cardinals are still bad.
Yeah. So we got Atlanta, LA, and Milwaukee leading the NL divisions. Baltimore, Seattle, Minnesota leading the AL. But yeah, baseball. We're finally to the point where we don't have to care too much about baseball anymore, which is nice.
Yeah, we don't have to put all of our time into baseball.
Yeah.
Nothing against baseball. It's just not it. Sometimes there's a lot of games. Lot of games.
Yeah, it's tough to focus that long,
but October baseball though is pretty fun.
Yeah, that's I'm excited for that, but
I'm not really this year because the Cardinals aren't in it. But
yeah,
I'm
hoping to sneak into the playoffs. We start in about 20 minutes as we're recording right now for the Cubs, but yeah, should be exciting. But any other baseball talk?
Not really. No.
Yeah. I guess let's get to some FIBA World Cup. This I will say this will be like the last tough episode to get through.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna start having football, and then before you know it, we'll have basketball back, and we'll actually be able to talk about stuff that we truly, really, really enjoy instead of stuff that we just kind of like. So this is one of the last episodes where we just kind of got to battle through, but we're getting close. But FIBA World Cup, USA is 2-0. Won this morning, 109-81 versus Greece, and then won on Saturday morning, 99-72 versus New Zealand. A couple of the other 2-0 teams in like kind of bigger divisions or bigger groups, I guess. Dominican Republic is 2-0 with Karl Anthony Towns. Serbia is 2-0. Germany's 2-0. Luka Doncic is, I believe, leading the tournament in points. They're 2-0. Canada's 2-0. There's a couple more teams, but they're kind of from like smaller groups that are probably just going to lose in the first round of knockout play. But Canada team looks pretty good too. They smoked France on, I think it was Friday morning. But yeah.
Yeah, France has been eliminated from medal contention after they lost by 2 to Latvia.
Yeah, I was expecting a little more from France after that 2021 Olympics.
Yeah, I mean France has got a good roster. I mean you have Nicolas Batum, who feels like he's been playing basketball for about 65 years now. Rudy Gobert and Evan Fournier, I believe, is on that team as well. And they also got a bunch of decent players that don't play in the league but still play professionally somewhere else, pretty high. But fun fact for you, Davis Bertans of the, well, I don't know actually anymore. I think he got traded. Formerly of the Mavericks is Latvian. Did not know that because I didn't
Well,
think they had any league players.
I think there's a ton of guys who are like not from the actual country that just because they had like an ancestor from like 3 generations
Yeah,
ago
like
are
Jordan
able.
Clarkson's playing somewhere. It's I don't really know, but
Who was it? Someone told me today someone that was just like wild. Like someone was playing for like Jordan or something.
I think that's Jordan Clarkson.
It
Well,
might be.
no, Rondé Hollis Jefferson's playing for Jordan.
That's who it was. It was like,
Hmm.
yeah, someone was like, yeah, Rondé Hollis Jefferson's playing for Jordan. And I was like, how? Like, but
I gotta find out where Jordan Clarkson's playing because it's like I don't know. He was playing for the Philippines.
yeah, that was like, who was it in the Olympics a couple years ago was playing for a random team too. I can't remember, uh, but yeah, the FIBA and the FIFA rules of like how you get to play for which country don't make much sense to me. Like apparently, like the guy that we got for USA Soccer like a couple months ago,
Yeah, he's
he like
English.
he switched from England to USA, and you got like one free switch or something like that. It's like the transfer portal basically. Like
Yeah,
you
pretty
get
much.
one free country change.
Yeah, I don't really know the guidelines of it. I know it's. I'm pretty sure it's more like stricter and like especially soccer. Um, but yeah, I don't understand the guidelines of like how you can play for who.
But yeah, one of my buddies who's like really big into soccer was like talk to me about it like he was a recruit almost. And it's like we're trying to recruit him to US. And it's like how do you do that? If
Yeah, how does that work?
you I thought you just played where you were born. But
I did too. What I thought it was. I don't
apparently
know.
Rondé Hollis Jefferson is on Jordan, and I
Yeah.
don't believe he was born there. Could be wrong though. But
Um, fun fact for you here. Bradley Braves legend, Koch Bar. He played 0 minutes in South Sudan's loss to Puerto Rico. So
mm,
could be some correlation there. If you want to win games, put Koch Bar in. That's just pretty simple. I feel like that's something that should be known by now.
yeah,
I mean, he is a back-to-back Missouri Valley Conference winner, so
he's a winner.
he knows how to win. He's played in World System. But also for South Sudan, we have either I don't know which one it is, Chicago Bowl or Windy City Bowl. Can't remember which one, but Carlik Jones, he had 35 points in their loss versus Puerto Rico. So we don't have much going for us as far as the Bulls organization goes, but that's something.
There we go. International star.
Superstar.
Yeah. Another one, uh, Illinois player, Andres Feliz. 24 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and a win over Italy for the Dominican Republic. So that was going to be one of my shout outs, but I'll just say it now. So shout out,
Um,
shout out him.
yeah. Also, this kind of pains me to say. But Austin Reeves is very good. I don't like it because he's a Laker, and I feel more comfortable like rooting for him right now because he's not wearing a Laker jersey. But Austin Reeves is playing very, very, very well for the U.S. right now, and so is Paolo Banchero, which is awesome to see as a Blue Devil fan. Um, I think him and Austin Reeves are like. I saw a list today that was like, you know how they compile all these random stats and they give you like a grade, like a PFF grade, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so Banchero was actually number 2 on that list, and Reeves was 1. But so when you look at the list of the guys that are on that team, and rookie Paulo Banchero, well, no longer rookie, but Banchero's up on that list is pretty cool to see.
Yeah. That is cool. That's cool. Also, shout out Austin Reeves. I know you don't like him because he's a Laker, but we did see him live in the NCAA
We did see
tournament.
him live. I'm not gonna say that we found Austin Reeves, but Jack and I did find Austin Reeves.
2021, Oklahoma versus Missouri.
Yep.
Uh, Round
And it
of
does also
64
also
game.
pay me to say, but I will give us credit here as well. We found Brady Manick as well because he was still playing with the Sooners at that time. That was
Yeah, he was.
pre-transfer to UNC. So yeah, we just got a knack for just finding good ball players.
Fine talent. Fine talent. Anything else on the FIBA World Cup?
Yeah, one more thing. Did you see the U.S. sprinters? I believe his comments on the like the NBA.
Nah.
I need to find the quote. I don't. I'll just kind of spark note it for you. But basically, he was saying like how he doesn't understand why NBA players, when they win the finals, they call themselves the world champions because he said the NBA is not like doesn't speak for the world or something like that, or it's not like a full sample size of the world or something like that. He was basically saying just talking shit about NBA players, saying that just because they win the NBA does not mean they're world champions. And I believe ESPN posted like the video of it, and I like 8 or 10 NBA players commented under it and was like, this basically saying how he's wrong and all this stuff. I think Kevin Durant was one of them. Booker was one of them. Tyler Hero said something. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to say because the NBA is by far the best basketball league in the world, and you have players from all over the world, like the best players from all over the world, come and play in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's pretty, safe to say that they are world champions when they win.
Yeah. It's like I get it, but I like. Come on.
Technically, he's not wrong, but
He's
also
yeah.
Denzel Valentine, former Chicago Bull, probably one of the worst players to ever come through the Chicago Bulls organization, did say something. He like quote tweeted it and said something about it, and people were kind of shitting on him for that because he's like, "You're not in the league anymore. Like, you can't be
Yeah.
saying this," which is
Of
kind of
all,
funny.
of all the people to say it,
Yeah, of all the people to say that, Denzel Valentine says it.
someone who was never a world champion,
No.
probably will never will be. But shout out Denzel for sticking up for the league.
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
Uh, Golf.
Golf.
Victor Hovland, FedEx Cup champion, PGA Tour champion. Uh, Ended up kind of pretty good weekend, pretty good last couple weeks for him. Uh, Scotty was one of the big things for me. He uh, just kind of never really made an impact this week, and I felt like I saw that. I didn't watch too much of the tournament. Just a lot of stuff going on. Played a little bit of my own golf. Shout out John Diebler. But I I saw that the clip of him getting like the quad on one of the par threes. I think went water with his first shot, and then ended up like three putting. Uh, so Scotty never really made an impact, but Hovland, tour champ.
Yeah. I don't really think. I mean, you could say Scotty didn't play very good. But I don't really think anyone else like played bad. It's just Victor Hovland just killed the competition.
Yeah, he was just crazy this
Like
week.
nobody else went out there and It was not really like super close, like down the stretch even. Saturday, I think he had like a 2-stroke lead for a little bit. But like no one was up there like leading it, and then they bogeyed, and Hovland kind of stuck up there, and then maybe Hovland bogeyed and kind of gave someone like left the door open a little bit. He just ran away with it. And I believe he made over like $21 million in 8 days.
Yeah,
And
that's just absurd.
it's crazy. I saw some stat. I think it was this season on the PGA Tour. He made like a little over $5 grand per shot.
Imagine that work to pay ratio.
Exactly. I think it was like 20 grand per hole.
Jeez, yeah,
Something crazy.
like last week he was what did he shoot, like 8 under on Sunday alone, I think, last week, to win the, what's that one called, BMW, and then just dominated this weekend.
Yep.
So he'll be at the Ryder Cup. Ryder Cup's coming up. That'll be exciting. 6 picks in for the U.S. are, what's it, Scotty,
Scotty,
Homa,
Brian Harmon, Cantlay, Max Homa,
Wyndham Clark, and Xander, right?
I don't think he's locked in
He,
yet. It might be
um,
Spieth.
I can't remember who got that last spot, but yeah, the picks for the Ryder Cup should be coming soon. It's coming up in like 3 weeks, I think, or like 3 weeks from Wednesday, I think, or maybe 4. Not sure, but it's coming up soon. That's a fun event every year. First time back in Italy since, or back in Europe since pre-COVID. And none of the European fans were able to come in 21 at, I think it was at Whistling Straits.
You are right. It is Xander, by the way.
It is Xander. Yeah, but first time European fans are going to get to be there, or at least like a majority of them. I know, like somehow, like some people who like just moved to the country or something like that were able to come, but a lot of travel restrictions for the last Ryder Cup. So this will be kind of the first one since pre-COVID that really has like a lot of European fans there, and hopefully a lot of U.S. fans are traveling over there as well. Get a cool atmosphere there every time. So it'll be interesting to see. Another interesting part of that is, will Zach Johnson pick Brooks Koepka? I know
He
I saw
better. He should.
Yeah, I know I saw a quote from Scotty that was like, if he played literally one tournament on the PGA Tour, he would be on the money list to be in the top 6. So like to be able to be on, like, what he finished, like 7th or 8th, I think.
He's 7th.
Yeah, and to do that with only 4 tournaments counting to his points, pretty crazy. So I hope this live thing doesn't get in the way. I think Brooks is also one of, we might just be a little biased, but I think Brooks is one of the more enjoyable guys on live. Like, I think there are definitely some kind of a-holes on live, but I feel like he's one of the guys that was just like, you understood what he was going through, like, especially after watching Full Swing, you understood like where he was mentally and physically, and that it would be hard to pass up that much money, not knowing if he was ever going to get back to the peak that he can be, and back to kind of what he's been this past year. So hopefully he picks him. I think Spieth seems like he's always a lock. Ricky seems like he's a lock.
I want to see Morikawa in there as well.
Morikawa, I hope, gets in there. JT is an interesting one. He's been on a lot of Ryder Cups, represented the country in a lot of different of these type of tournaments, but did not have the best year. I don't think he didn't even make the FedEx Cup playoffs, right?
He didn't. No.
He was like 71st.
Yeah, JT's stinking up this year.
Yeah, he did not have a good year. So it'll be interesting to see if like they go for experience with JT, especially on the road. Will be interesting. Like if it was at home, that'd be one thing. But like this is one of the few tournaments where home course or like home region advantage matters. just with how wild the fans get for this. So be interesting to see if Zach Johnson goes with the guy who's had experience there but is struggling a little bit lately with JT, or if he goes with maybe a younger guy like a Zalatoris or I think Morikawa was probably a lot.
Cam Young's in that conversation as
Cam
well.
Young, yeah. So there's a couple guys who haven't been there before, versus that are having some pretty good years and pretty good past couple years, versus some guys who have a little bit more experience but maybe been struggling this year a little bit. So I'm very interested to see who Zach Johnson ends up picking. I don't know exactly when it's supposed to come out. I think it's within the next week or two. I'd like to think they have a little bit more than like 2 weeks of prep as a team together before this, especially the way the last Ryder Cup in Europe went back in 2018 when we just got smoked. But I think we haven't won in Europe since like the 90s, I believe.
Well, Max Homa's on the roster now, so that's about to change.
Yeah, so hopefully that ends up going well. That's the one thing with a lot of guys, a lot of, not saying no names, but I mean like Wyndham Clark and Brian Harmon, not the biggest guys and biggest stars in the world, winning those majors and kind of solidifying themselves on the roster. Hopefully they come up to play, because the Ryder Cup on the road is no joke at all. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's like a little bonus sporting event, you know.
Yeah, it's kind
Like
of a
this,
fun
it's
thing
like
thrown in there.
It's like the World Cup, you know. It's a little bonus sporting event to throw in there.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else, or should we get the shout outs?
Let's get the shout outs.
All right. Like I said, Andres Feliz was one of my shout outs, but I'll go with a shout out, Bill Self, for coming back to Illinois to play in an exhibition game for charity, for relief and like Red Cross stuff, I believe, for Maui. Maui going through some tough times right now, so it's cool to see. Illinois played Kansas. I think it was in like Kansas City or something, or like some small town in Missouri or something last year, in like one of those secret scrimmages, and was supposed to be closer to Illinois this year, and ended up deciding to open it up to the public, and all the proceeds go to the Maui relief. So shout out Bill Self for coming back after I think this is 20 years since he left. This will be the 21st season, I believe. But it's been 20 years since he left Illinois to go to the Kansas job back in 2003. His first time back in Champaign will be, or at least back in Assembly Hall, will be an exhibition game against Illinois.
Very cool. Yeah, shout out Bill Self.
I won't say that much, but yeah. That's all I got. What about you?
I got 3 shout outs here. Number 1, shout out Bob Barker.
Oh,
Rest
yeah.
in peace,
Rest
Bob
in
Barker.
peace. Rest in peace.
Price is right. My second shout out is Arizona Cardinals quarterback, well, former Arizona Cardinals quarterback Colt McCoy. He got cut. Basically, the Cardinals are just saying we want to go 0-17. They traded away Isaiah Simmons for like a 7th rounder, who Isaiah Simmons linebacker they drafted about 3 years ago. I think it was like a 11th pick or a top 10 pick.
He was up there.
Yeah, first rounder for sure. But yeah, so they trade for Josh Dobbs, and then Colt McCoy won them a couple games last year, or won them a game I think against the Rams, and they were saying it's gonna be Colt McCoy, and then Kyler comes back, but they just said no, we just want to be terrible, so we'll cut Colt McCoy here. So shout out Colt McCoy. Just feel like he deserves it.
Hope he lands on his feet somewhere.
Yeah. My last shout out here is shout out Olive Garden. Okay? Now hear me out. Me and my good buddy, shout out Parker Kuhn, roommate. We got on Olive Garden last night and ultimately decided to go. Just one of those things where we talked about it way too much. We had to go. So I went to Olive Garden. I love their breadsticks, love their salad. I ordered some pasta first, and then after this, Parker orders, and he orders um, all you can eat breadsticks, soup, and salad for $12. Did not know that Olive Garden had that, but man, is it a treat.
Soup and salad.
And breadsticks, unlimited.
Right.
All you can eat, never ending, I believe it's called never ending. But for $12, I might just go to Olive Garden once a week, $12, and just load up on soup, salad, and breadsticks. Because that is seriously one of the best menu items I've ever heard of in my entire life. And I will be going back.
So do you get pasta on top of that too, or do you just rock with the soup and salad and breadsticks?
So I got the pasta, and then obviously we got the never ending soup, salad, and breadsticks. So I was just eating salad and breadsticks with it as well. And of course, they're never ending. But I might just go back there and just spend $12 tip and just eat breadstick, salad, and soup for the night because that is phenomenal.
What kind of soups are they offering?
It's a great question. I'm not really sure. There's some chicken soup. I don't know what it was, but it looked very, very good. I did not have any soup. My pasta was delicious though, and obviously the breadsticks are top tier. Very good salad as well. But yeah, shout out Olive Garden because I will definitely be going back and ordering never-ending breadstick soup and salad.
I have not been to Olive Garden in a long, long time, so
I think it was my first time going in like 6 years.
Yeah, I might have to try that again for the never-ending breadsticks.
I'm serious, man. It's
life-changing.
It was insane. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Italian restaurant connoisseurs here on the Empty Gym podcast. But yeah, I believe that's all we got. Anything else from you?
No.
All right. Week 1, college football. Locked and loaded. Ready to go. Be back next week with a little bit more stuff to talk about, thankfully. And we're inching closer and closer to college basketball season as well, which is obviously the main part of our show. Going to be this one's still in August, but September will be the last month of just one episode a week. Little programming note. We got some plans for October as we start previewing, and then get into the season and get going full steam ahead. So exciting times here. Excited to get back to football and get basketball closer, but I believe that's all we got. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.